and welcome to the Raw Review. We are the Dadley Boyz of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review Raw, but also SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AW Dynamite, AW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete. A bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, they're joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Raw, the go-home ahead of the Royal Rumble, with an incredible moment on it.
Yeah, an okay Raw with the promo of the year and maybe the promo of the decade from a WWE point of view. Quite sublime, and it lived up to expectations, and that's the biggest compliment. I'm skipping to the promo. Like, Raw was Raw. There was some good, there was some bad, there was some indifferent, quite honestly. But this promo had the weight, not just of the expectations of right now, of CM Punk just being back, of the Royal Rumble, of everything, but of this dream match that has existed since 2021, since Punk came back to wrestling, and that was the first point, maybe other than a period in 2018 where you thought he might work all in because it was in Chicago. Other than that, since 2021, it's been, for me at least, it's been the dream match because of many of the things they said here, and indeed just what these two figures represent. It was I was overstating comparing them to Rock and Hogan, but I do genuinely believe, as figureheads for this generation of wrestling fans, it is these two. If you had the highest expectations, I still think they were exceeded. This was pro wrestling magic at a time of year in WWE where you stand the best chance of summoning it because the stakes are never higher than they are here. There was a promo a few years back, and think about how dreadful WWE was, but Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey knocked one out of the park the night after Becky Lynch won the Rumble because you just couldn't wait for the match. And then Vince went, blah, blah, blah. But either way, you couldn't wait for those two to interact because you realised that the market leader had the hot hand and they were heading towards this big show. This hand feels even hotter, this show feels even bigger, and the market leader is actually leading it. Like, perfect time, perfect moment, perfect everything. Can't wait to get to it, so much so that I'm just talking about it now. Magic. Absolutely what you watch it for.
One of those things you wish you kind of been in attendance for.
No, not really. Not really. I'm not spending 900 quid for that. As I said on Twitter, I'm spending an exorbitant sum of money on a pay-per-view with them two headlining it. Jesus Christ. Quite frankly and quite simply, one of the best wrestling segments I've seen in years and years and years. Certainly the best WWE promo exchange I can remember. Pure magic. I think it was even better than a lot of people are suggesting online. I think I'm with Hamflett. It was better than I ever thought it could be, and I had high expectations for this. I thought it was so sophisticated. So, it was as sophisticated as it was electrifying. Masterful. Like, I cannot throw enough adjectives at it. Looking forward to drilling into it. And that segment was there. There was one other decent one. And the rest was, there was some actively bad stuff on this Raw. Like, actively bad stuff on this Raw. Thank God for the top-end programs.
Let's dive straight into it then. This was episode 1600 of Monday Night Raw, so we've had 600 three-hour episodes now.
Oh boy, watched them all. That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah, you are crazy. I do keep saying it.
600.
Yeah.
God.
We see Punk and Cody showing up earlier on in the day, and then the show opens as promised with the World Heavyweight Champion. Seth Rollins comes out, big lime green suit, with a knee brace over his injured leg, of course, or his injured knee. Gets a great reaction. Thank you, Seth chants.
Did he have any entrance music?
Oh, he did, you know. It was an emotional time. He said he appreciated the reaction. Talked about beating Jinder last week, but in the midst of the match, he felt his knee go in a direction it wasn't supposed to after hitting a springboard moonsault, and he realised when he went to the back after beating him that he might be out for a long time. He said previously that he only gets stronger after every successful title defence, and then he was sitting there not being able to bend his knee, and he felt like a liar. And he felt like he might have to miss WrestleMania, and the crowd are obviously devastated by this. And he clarifies he's had a grade 2 tear of his MCL and a partially torn meniscus. The doctor said out for potentially 3 to 4 months with surgery. Look, if it were up to him, he'd still come out next week and stomp people's heads in, but it's not just up to him. We don't know what the future holds. He's going to take it day by day, week by week, but before he can conclude, he's interrupted by Imperium and Gunther, of course. And Rollins is like, here we go. Don't waste your time. If you're here to take me out, just get on with it. And Gunther's like, hey, don't worry. Let's concentrate on you. It feels like we've been avoiding each other for a while now. I want to tell you what I think of you. Don't be on edge, though. You were placed in a tough spot being labelled a fighting champion from the get-go. You had to bring honour and dignity to the championship. But he's a champion everyone could be proud of. Just like me, says Gunther. But it pulled on his heartstrings to see Rollins like this. And it was a sad way to find out he's not going to make it to WrestleMania. And Rollins like, you should let me finish. He said, I don't give a damn about what doctors told me or how hard I've got to rehab. I'm going to take the title into WrestleMania and I'll walk out as world heavyweight champion. Everyone cheers. And Gunther's happy to hear this. He says, I admire and respect you, Seth. I do the same thing. You kind of remind me of me. And on Sunday, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and choose you, Seth Rollins. Get back to that in a second. I'll target your knee. I'll target your back. I'll target any part of you that isn't 100% so I can become champion. And Rollins warns Gunther, remember who you're coming after. And Gunther's like, remember who's coming after you. And they shake hands. All seems like they're going to part ways amicably. And in amongst all this, by the way, great to see Giovanni Vinci back after his accident the other week. He's there. Ludwig Kaiser there at ringside. New Day jump them to set up their match next. And just before we move on to the next bit, it was also a graphic that did this. But Cole was like, Saturday, it's Saturday, Saturday. Don't forget, he said Sunday, but he meant Saturday. The Rumble. Okay, you made one slight mistake. But what did you make of this?
Well, it's funny. He made that mistake, and you saw that little bug come up straight away, and you're like, it's that WWE Jurassic Park. Where they can't help themselves.
I mean, they had to do it.
Yeah, yes. They had to do it, but like this is that thing, and it's like I know Moxley did it once in AEW, but the vibe feels different when you do it in WWE. It's like Cardinal saying, "Don't get any of these like big labely bits wrong," but you sense that at least Gunther won't go backstage, and next week be booked as a character that doesn't know what day of the week it is. He's not going to like turn up to Raw. Like a day late next week. Bloody Gunther.
There was a very good tweet of, I think it's Drew in the War Games cage before they get let out into the match where he's shaking the door. He's desperate to get out. And people are like, Gunther showing up to the arena on Sunday for the Rumble. What's going on here?
Like Vince would have actually booked that. Like Titus O'Neil falls over once. He's like the falling over guy.
You can't get in a ring. He's been wrestling for about 15 years.
Otherwise, I thought this was a really good bit of business, Gunther coming out and calling his shot against Seth Rollins is yet another, and there's been a few of those in this Rumble build, yet another impressive legitimizing of Seth's title, which Seth has done a good job of himself. Like, I'm not afraid to give Seth some praise for that.
Force of will.
Yeah, force of will. These things tend to just happen in WWE long enough and with a few good matches and you'll get there. We say a lot about Seth on this podcast, and I think a lot of fans have a much lower ceiling for Seth Rollins than Seth himself, fair enough. But when he spoke about potentially missing WrestleMania and being injured, the fans responded, in a very earnest, heartfelt way, that showed that they do care. A lot of people care about Seth. It's weird. I think he is the best when he plays the most outlandish version of himself. But when he does have to do the reality bit, if it's actually real, fans care. He's been around long enough that people do actually care. And I thought that's what this promo needed. It's one thing for a wrestler. I always think of Triple H after the Brock Lesnar loss doing the tearful bit and the fans not giving a toss. I mean, amazing.
Didn't buy it one iota.
Yeah. When Seth was potentially teasing the prospect not working Mania, the fans didn't want that. They were sad for him, so this came across exactly as it should have. He did feel like a fighting babyface champion that wants to gut it through. And I didn't mind the ambiguity of the message. Said yesterday, wrestling is weird. You can turn potentially terrible negatives into big positives, and there is more drama and intrigue around this belt on the way to Mania, and indeed Seth as a babyface on the way to Mania. If he's hobbling out every week in a knee brace and I'm going to go, but I'm not 100%, that's told its own story before we've even got a winner of the Rumble or a potential challenger. I think this is the best of a potentially devastating situation they've made here.
Yeah, the ambiguity of the message was such that I still think it's very uncertain, and it could be the case that he's told, nah, we can't do it, because he's not that great an actor, Seth Rollins, and yet he must have channeled what's still a lot of uncertainties swirling through his mind when he went out there. because he did wrong foot me. And I just thought when you first saw him tear up a bit, I thought, right, well, that's it. And then he did the wrestling swerve of call the ambulance, but not for me and all the rest of it. I still would, I don't know any internal reports. I don't have access to the medical records or out like that, but I would still put it as uncertain. Such was the ambiguity. So that's interesting, I think. It seems like it's a nice thing to do where they're kind of looking out for his welfare and seeing if he can do it because he deserves that main event and all the rest of it, while at the same time giving themselves the out and telling fans and being very truthful from day one of it might not happen. We're just going to have to play it by ear. So I thought it made for some dramatic TV. Gunther continues to absolutely nail being the top heel of the sports entertainment promotion. His facials are so great. That disingenuous, that aloof. He's fantastic. This is really, really strong.
Yeah, I know he's obviously already alluded to winning the Rumble, but just the merest glimpse.
That was really good as well, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking out for Gunther. Not necessarily thinking he's going to win, but more, how do you get him out? He's in that tier with Drew, where it's like, who eliminates him and what does that lead to? Or how does he get eliminated? I'm fairly certain he will, but I don't know how or by whom yet. So there's Punk, Cody, which itself is enough. And then you've got Drew, Gunther underneath, where it's like, it's almost getting
Brock, question mark.
Yeah, it's almost like getting properly worked. But he's massive, and he's been on TV saying it a lot. How do you get him out of here?
Worked is what it is, right? Because when you're a kid watching the Rumble and you've heard enough promos where the guy says, I'm going to throw 29 bodies out the ring, you're like, okay, so that's how this works. Anyone can win. And obviously then you kind of grow a bit older and your eyes are only ever on one or two people.
It's usually one.
Yeah, like the camera will shoot to an elimination, and if that's not the person you think is going to win, or you're not that interested in what they're up to, you're peering to a different side of the ring to spot what so-and-so's doing. Your eyes are on multiple people this year. It's not, as you say, particularly about the result. It's about how they're going to fare and all these little individual pairings and the pair-offs that you might get in it as well. Gunther, as well, calling his shot for WrestleMania, and not even with the suggestion that he intends on losing the Intercontinental title, by the way. I'll just keep this one as well. I love that.
Warrior it.
Yeah, he's speaking with the confidence of a guy that can do both.
Yeah, the merest glimpse of him turning his attention, rather than people stepping up to challenge him going, I'm coming after you, whoever the champion is. Awesome. By the way, just off topic here, did you see the thread on Twitter last night from Ethan Morgan, which was a great thread of what if the runner-up to each Royal Rumble had actually won it or had got this title shot at WrestleMania? So it's like WrestleMania 17, Kane versus The Rock.
Oh, boy.
18?
I can see your screen, so let Hamflett play this game.
Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho.
Would have been better.
19?
That Undertaker.
Take
versus
Kurt Angle. I mean, Angle Brock wasn't great, but
20?
Skip.
Big Show. I mean, general.
21 doesn't count because it happened anyway.
Yeah.
22, Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle, sort of.
Yeah, he got in, didn't he?
24. Oh, yeah, sorry. 23 would have been. Shawn Michaels was a runner-up anyway, so 24.
Wasn't it Cena and Triple H? Triple H got in the match regardless, didn't they?
Triple H versus Randy Orton, yeah. 25 would have been Triple H versus Edge, because Edge wouldn't have...
Never happened on the big stage, did it?
No, they had what I think was like the Great American Bash.
Something like that.
Triple H, because it was Triple H that was like, hey, nice marriage. Shame if somebody covertly filmed you kissing the wedding planner, which is me apparently now.
Yes. Who's also, I think, Alicia Fox later on. It's a couple of my favourites before we wrap this up. Go and check it out on Ethan Morgan's Twitter. WrestleMania 27's main event.
Oh, so that was one...
Santino Marella.
Yeah.
I didn't see a screen.
Edge.
Santino Marella versus Edge.
And finally, WrestleMania 29.
2013. Oh, Ryback.
Once in a lifetime, baby. So big brawl, The New Day and Kaiser and Vinci. I won't really go into too many spots because this match went to a double count out, but it was all about what happened afterwards as well. Kingston got a hot tag in there, ran wild, wiped everyone out, big suicide dives. Imperium team up on him, but Woods makes the save, and they keep brawling on the outside until they both get counted out because they just want to keep kicking each other's ass. They brawl through the crowd. It looks like on several occasions Imperium's going to take out one of the members of the New Day, but the other one makes the save. Looks like Xavier Woods is going to take one of them out off the equipment boxes. In the end, though, Woods and Kingston spear Kaiser and Vinci off the equipment boxes through some tables.
I loved that spot and the end of that brawl. Triple H leans too much into these arena-wide brawls, and they don't all work for me. This one did. I'm not WrestleTix, right? These fantastic crowds, these 10,000 plus crowds that WWE keep drawing for TV tapings, are only as good as the noise being made or the sights that you see on screen. Like, the number is only great if it contributes to the show. And the way they shot this brawl, where they kind of took it from all angles because you don't need to hide the hard camera side, it was just full of people that were, like, the crowd that were super close to it were buzzing for it. And there was just loads of noise and people physically reacting, like popping basically, arms in the air, all that sort of stuff. And they should probably use this a bit more while the buildings are as packed as they are, because I definitely think it elevates it. There was the Owens and Zayn crowd fight from last year where Kevin Owens did that insane swanton off the balcony. Those buildings, the way they are at the moment, as hot as they are, like, I think about this is not a comparison to this, but it was one of the reasons why Anarchy in the Arena 1 was perfect. It was perfect. You could go absolutely anywhere and the whole thing felt magic. You wished you were in the building. For an arena brawl and a table spot, effectively, a tag table spot in the crowd, this just looked hot.
To set up a nice title match.
It's match to build the match stuff. It's no finish. And yet, I couldn't help thinking, well, this is not just me saying it, it would have been cool to be in that crowd because people were buzzing for it. Like, there's another match in this.
There obviously is. Owing to the finish, I was removed by this. Just corny finish, an excuse to do it again, which I guess is fine. There's a good reason for them to not want to adhere to the rules when that's what it's all based on, it all being taken too far. Of course, these two teams, with the conflict that they have between each other, they're not going to, want to work a match and grab a hold. That's all fine. But I don't know. The second in a row, corny, non-finish, and then I'm going to probably expose myself as a hypocrite because I've probably had latitude towards it before in other contexts. For whatever reason, I just groaned at the tables being there. Yeah. The tables, piss off. You know what I watched the other day? In research for a list, right? I watched the Cena Great Khali. Was it One Night Stand?
Yeah.
It was the opposite of that. He was getting everything, sorry for this word, germane to the environment. Like the big camera crane.
Yeah.
Just, I need to get my hands on that. Get the massive body away from me.
Cena was good for that in brawls. He did that a few times. JBL and Umaga and that. Was like, I got something in my hand. Use this then.
Got it. He was so much better at those kinds of matches as he was as a straight singles guy, even as PWG Cena. This is a bit too contrived for me.
There was something, it
has to be really, really, really spectacular and like just get my blood fizzing for it to be that contrived, and it wasn't that hot.
There was something I liked later on. I'm sorry we're jumping ahead to the New Day's promo they cut.
Yeah, let's talk about it now.
But like they do a promo after the fact where like, and Jey Uso's there giving them ice and they remind you of that union because there's probably going to be an Imperium 6-man. And let's be honest, like other than Bronson Reed, Jey Uso feels like it's a forgotten man ahead of the Rumble. But within the body of what the New Day was saying, it was very much, people don't take us seriously enough, but we're having to remind you just who the hell we are. And to the point we were making when we talked, the point I was making when we talked about the rankings was, I don't care about AEW keeping tabs on every single wrestler's win-loss record points. I just want this philosophy to exist where winning matches works you up the rankings towards a title shot. That felt folded in here. The New Day are kind of fighting the way they're fighting to be taken seriously once again as a threat to the tag titles because the belts is what we're all supposed to go to work for. Like, this is yet more, I feel, like restoration of the titles. And wrestlers just trying to restore their aura because they want to win titles is good. It's like fundamental stuff, like foundational stuff. And there's still a lot, like, he's not doing it in the women's division, but there's like a lot of like restoring of belts prestige through long range. You've got to do it with the challenges as well. And I think that's been quite effective for the New Day. It's a time of year where if they were to win this feud against Imperium, they're already an act with so much credit in the bank that you would buy them suddenly mounting in a challenge for the tag belts. They're the New Day. You know, if they're telling you to take them seriously and then they show you it, you will. And I just think that's how you should book these teams, like how you should book your undercard.
Yeah, and they are Teflon to any kind of bad book in the New Day. That's kind of been their story, in fact. So when they jumped the heels at the bell, I understood it was a segue to get to, stick around, you're going to get this.
Yeah.
It's like, I just will never not think they're nice people. Doesn't matter how you book them.
Yeah.
Convince McMahon, babyface them, which this segment kind of did. They're the New Day.
Following all that, there's a video package for Priest and McIntyre later on in the show, and then we go backstage, and there is Damian Priest. He's got Dominic Mysterio with him. He's got Janet McDonough there, Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley. Of course, collectively,
they're in the fucking Judgment Day.
On the other side. Got Charlotte on that now.
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
It's crossing roads, man.
Yeah.
Josh still does it. It's in him now. Poor kid.
Yeah.
Just remind me, what was the thing you sent earlier? Sidge's alarm going off.
Oh, like, Sidge, for those that have watched other podcasts, hell of a chef, this guy over here. Sets alarms for his cooking on the weekend, is it, predominantly?
Yes.
So as a result, on Mondays, often there's a recurring alarm that goes off midway through a podcast.
Not too stupid to learn how to do them properly.
And we've heard it enough times that we know the song, and we've turned it into a terrorist chant.
Yes.
Sidgwick. And we got a comment yesterday from Wrestle7428 who said, when my alarm goes off every morning, I start singing along now and shout Sidgwick at the end. Girlfriend very confused and grumpy.
Sorry.
Yeah, but we're not.
No.
I couldn't keep my eyes off Finn Balor in this segment, by the way. He was just loving life, loving every argument that was going on, because Rhea's like, bloody picking fights with everyone, Priest. And you and Balor next week got to defend the tag titles against DIY. And Priest's like, why am I only finding out about this now? And I've got no intention of picking fights with everyone, but I'm going to bloody handle Drew McIntyre tonight. You got big head you have, just because you're on the cover of the video game. Why don't you stop going into Postman Pierce's office and getting matches for the Judgment Day? And he storms off. And Ripley bollocks JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, and Balor's just loving this. But she says, don't piss about you either. Priest's going to fight McIntyre by himself. You accompany Tom and Nick and JD for the match. I want to see your vicious side. And he said, you want to see vicious? You're going to get it.
There are a lot of reasons I'll be sad when the Judgment Day are no longer a thing. A lot of reasons. But chief among them might be the end of Finn banter. Because pretty much from when he turned, remember like all the mid-match stuff when he was actually in the big matches against Seth and he'd do something on the floor and just be like, like flex his million pack that he's got on the front of his chest. There's a bit of that here, which I quite liked. I also like, but I like it every week. I like the Damian Priest increased frustration with Rhea Ripley, just making deals with other people. And she's already seeing past the Judgment Day. I made this point a couple of weeks ago. War Games was the end of, we run Raw, we run SmackDown. You don't. And the babyface has told you that you don't. So she is now seeing past this group, and her loose alignments with Paul Heyman and with Drew McIntyre have only helped increase her star aura while kind of leaving them to suffer the consequences. So I quite like Damian Priest as the ostensible babyface of all this, drawing attention to it.
Finn Balor has got Triple H, bring it back to 2015 reboot, written all over him.
Oh, yeah.
The second this all goes to piss.
No laughing. Demon.
Yeah.
And not tongue demon. Everybody was grossed out by tongue demon. Proper demon, please.
So we about to get Ivy Nile versus Valhalla. Ivy Nile's backstage with Jackie and Maxine Dupree. And Maxine's like, she ain't Little Miss Val. Oh, sorry. She says Little Miss Val ain't ready, for Ivy Nile. They don't call her the Pitbull for nothing. Creed Brothers there hyper up. She's like, I got this, don't worry.
They call her the Pitbull because it's the Fed, and somebody's got to be the fucking Pitbull at some point or another.
If they're short.
If they're short, yeah.
If they're short and a bit scrappy and a bit intense, they are a Pitbull.
They just lost Butch, so they're like, oh.
The space has opened up for somebody to be a dog.
Nikki Cross, by the way, whilst all this was going on, was just wandering about. Wasn't even mentioned. I was just like, what's that? There's a fan light got up there.
On the stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone needs to make the thing of Lanny Poffo looking down on her and how am I doing, boss? Because she is getting paid to do absolutely all, and I respect it. I absolutely respect it.
They have to do, I think, on Saturday, the Bushwhacker Luke spot, but with Nikki Cross. So, like, he would, like, bushwhack in, immediately just bushwhack through the ring, gets thrown out, and out he goes, right to the back. Just have her walk to the ring, walk straight to the Nia Jax or whoever, throws her out, and she just keeps walking through the crowd. Like, straight line. Doesn't stop, doesn't turn around. Or, like, gets turned around. Just walks in that direction instead. Do that. Have that be your elimination, because what's going on with it?
I don't know what's going on. All I know is that it's bad.
You're in a train.
I don't know what's going on. I don't care. I just like. I like. It's the least I've got. Even like Nikki ASH, I was like, okay, she's a superhero. I get it. This, I'm like, what's
It's the worst of all time.
But what? Yeah, but what? I was like, well, at least I know what she's trying to do. What's
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
It's just Anyway,
Baffling.
More full Mighty Molly if she doesn't get revenge this year. Because she's there for the taking.
Phil Chambers is going to have a field day. Ivan Valhalla, anyway. Valhalla hammers away to start. Now got knocked outside. Goes for the face. Valhalla hits a pop-up headbutt and tries to put her feet on the ropes. But she does it so obviously and blatantly and quickly that before Maxine can do that, ref! The ref's like, you're putting your feet on the ropes, I can see.
Yeah.
Anyway, Niall bounces Valhalla's head off the post and hits the pit bull, the top rope bulldog, for the 1, 2, 3.
Too short to really pass comment on the work. There wasn't much of anything here. I get it. Like, this is one of them on paper. Ivan Al picking up some wins. But I don't feel like this is a big Triple H women's division problem. I think so much of the time you're not instructed to care. He's just putting it on the show to try and get away with one. And that's the exact same thing we've criticised AEW for years. There's parity, I guess, but not really. There's parity based on the fact that they also appear on the show, not in the way they're creatively handled. Ivy Nile is not having a bad run, but she's not having a good one either.
And it wasn't like, well, that's Valhalla dealt with. She can't be interfering in anything else tonight.
Yeah. It doesn't affect. It felt like it didn't affect what is her typical role on the show, which is to be Ivar's spooky mate.
Anything you want to say about this?
No.
Okay. Then we got the New Day, Jey Uso, Kofi Kingston challenging Gunther for a title match next week, and Jey simply saying yeet and getting a huge pop off the back of it. And then Nia Jax comes
What
out.
have they done to my boy?
Nia Jax.
You love Jey Uso.
I really do. I'm still fighting for this title with Jey Uso, you know. He's not, but
He might eliminate Gunther just to be complete swerve.
Well, they've talked about the match, and I don't know, change his name to semi-main event Jey Uso.
Yeah, well, you'd have to main event a Raw because they can't do it in the pay-per-views before WrestleMania because he can't do
That's right,
he can't leave, unfortunately, Gunther. So, Nia Jax out there talking about squashing both Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch the first time she encountered them. Took the piss out of them going at each other last week, saying, I'm not surprised you want to face each other. You don't want to face me. I'll ruin your dreams. I'll win the Rumble myself. And I'm like, come on, Nia. Yes. Becky Lynch comes out, and she says, well done on beating me. You've got something to talk about for the next 5 years. She says, look, I know I've called my shot for the Rumble. I've got a big target on my back, but you've got an even bigger one. It's not just because of your size. It's also because nobody likes you. You throw your weight around, you've probably injured half the locker room.
Hated that line. It's a job in theory.
Mm-hmm.
Her job in theory is to hurt people. Why is that an insult?
It's so weird as well because
It's like saying to Bret Hart, great at your craft. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks for protecting people.
No, but it's not. I was like, thanks. Yeah, you're a great technical wrestler.
I
was like, that's his job.
Yeah, like
That's his job.
When they talked about her smashing Becky's face.
He's celebrating. It's his job.
Like,
I like that. I like you as the Roy Keane of this podcast.
That's the only time anyone would ever put me in the same sentence as him.
They never.
Sometimes you're just in the Rumble. I want to see someone smash into someone. Feel something.
Yeah, just don't do that. Becky Lynch got her face smashed in, and the way they weren't having the conversations that we were having about it. I can't believe she's injured her and put her out ahead of this massive match with Ronda Rousey. They were like, yeah, I injured you because we fight for a living, and I took you out, and that's what people talk about. There was a way to do this, and it wasn't well measured, I don't think.
Anyway, Lynch says, I'm not sure what I'm going to enjoy more, winning the Rumble for the second time or watching you lose. Bayley interrupts and says that, actually, I'm going to win the Rumble. And she attacks Becky Lynch. Jax goes after Bayley. Lynch goes after Jax. Bayley tries to get involved, so Lynch hits her with a manhandle slam, and then Jax chucks Lynch over the top rope. And both of her feet touch the floor. Which means if that happened on Saturday, she'd be eliminated from the Royal Rumble.
Never thought of that.
Two things, right? First of all, stop with this facetious stuff. Two things. One, the inner hater loved that they did this. Just intelligence, insulting, fed crap. That's still what they are at their core. So the inner hater enjoyed that. Secondly, they had to give this to the women, didn't they?
Yeah.
They would never have a segment with blokes doing this. And they probably, they have for like 40 years.
Well,
but you know what I mean.
The comparison was stark, wasn't it, between the importance of the two Rumbles? So it was laid bare on this Raw. There's so few contenders, and Bianca Belair, they've pretty much just told you, is busier with her TV show and 2K. She's in it, but and she tells you she wants to win, but they're not showing you that Bianca Belair's a serious contender this year. Not really. And they're so short and devoid on realistic contenders that they have to put in a thing where Adam Pearce has welcomed Damage Control to Raw for various reasons. One of them is for Bayley to get involved in this because there are and we don't even think Nia Jax is going to win, right? So there was 3 people in this promo and only 2 believable winners of the match. That's those are
you 2, aren't they? Yeah.
The Women's Rumble has been really badly booked, and we're probably not talking enough about that, but it's just an extension of how throwaway and, oh, Christ, we've got to get to the bloody women. And they keep doing, we drew attention to this a few weeks ago. Every week, it seems, they do a bit where Postman Pierce is scripted to come in and being like, bloody shut up, GBH the ear or what? He did it again on this one. All right, shut up. I'll give you what you want. That's, optics are minging. Rubbish.
Did think off the back of this, though, Jade Cargill's coming in the Rumble and eliminating Nia Jax because she needs to have something big at WrestleMania.
That would be pretty cool, yeah. And again, it just protects Cargill. If she even needs it, I don't think she does, but based on that Triple H press conference point, if they believe you need to be wary of what you deliver of Jade Cargill, a Nia Jax elimination gives you 3 months for them to perfect a match, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, and she hit Bayley with a leg drop after chucking Becky Lynch over the top. And then after this, we had the Royal Rumble numbers video. And Becky Lynch bumping into Rhea Ripley backstage, who says, probably should make all the plans for WrestleMania now, eh?
It's still really cool seeing them 2 on screen. Proper stars. That should be the WrestleMania match.
It is. They are telling you. They're all but telling you. Which is good. I'm in support.
There's nobody else, is there? You know, last year when Rhea won, and we're like, here we go, Rhea Bianca, and then they flipped it and went, Charlotte Flair. There's, if you are doing, say, Bayley and Io, for example, there is absolutely nobody else for Rhea Ripley. If it was Bianca Belair, it would feel the most out-of-the-blue thing at this point.
Then we got Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz. There was a Tom and Nick sign in the crowd, I did see. Balor and JD McDonough there with Dom. Balor early on hits Miz with a cheap shot. Dom takes control. Suicide dive, slingshot sent on. We go to a break. Miz fights back. Drop kicks Balor into the announce table. Wipes out McDonough. Hits Dom with a springboard crossbody. And Michael Cole cannot believe what he's seeing.
I got furious. He does it every week, isn't he?
Yeah. It's just part of his repertoire. Yeah. Cole has been caught a few times this year. I have never seen that before. Yeah. 2 weeks earlier. And then somebody shows up and been calling it.
Pathetic.
It looks like Miz is going to get hit with a 619. Manages to avoid it, but in amongst all this, JD takes the ref. Balor kicks Miz in the head. Dom hits a 619 and a frog splash. 1, 2, 3. They attack Miz post-match, especially Balor, but he's saved by DIY, who clear house. They send JD in for a skull-crushing finale. Look like they're going to hit the meat in the middle on him as well, but Finn pulls him out just at the right time.
The fans wanted... this got a decent response in the building, as we thought it would. The fans really wanted R-Truth in this bit of the Judgment Day drama / comedy.
Not in the main event.
And not in the main event. And I would say this is the second week in a row where it's a thing I really like, and I think they're doing quite a bad job of maximising its potential. I would have never in a million years thought the Awesome Truth had value. I don't think they have value as a nostalgia act. I think they have value as a right now act. It was oh yeah, them two were a team once. But it's actually, here they are in 2024 as quite good babyface foil for these arsehole heels. That might be perfect. And this was I get why you have DIY, and obviously you're building that tag match next week. That's fine. But it was just pretty stark to me here that this was where R-Truth would fit into this. And instead they used him in the main event, and sorry, the thing I like about this should be there, not there. And both things suffered for it, I thought.
Yeah. Speaking of doing nice things for your friends, I've been meaning to read this for a few days. We got a lovely, you got a lovely message.
Yes.
From Imperium, not them, on Twitter, saying, I wonder if you could do an amazing shout out on your next podcast. For context, at the What Culture Live event, which of course we are doing another one of in Philadelphia over WrestleMania weekend, whatculture.com/tickets if you want to go to that. But for our Dadley Boyz Live What Culture event, they say, a group of us connected up before the event, and we ended up creating a wonderful little WhatsApp group chat called What Culture Live Crew. All the guys in it are fantastic people, and one of them, Kieran, just had a new baby yesterday. It was on the 15th of January, this was. I would love it if you could give him a good old Dadley Boyz congrats from myself and all of the What Culture Live crew. His name is Kieran, and his newborn child's name is Penelope. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Kieran. Congratulations. Should we do some advice? We've done this a few times.
Yeah.
Good luck. Godspeed.
It's basically,
Enjoy it.
You're in it right now. What would you say, Wilborn? You're a few months in at this point.
It's easy. It's easy. I don't know what people are worried about.
Wilborn's got a sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Eric's
You might
legend.
not. You might not, Kieran. We
It's
don't know.
very easy to want to wish it away, to get to the milestones, particularly on bad days. The biggest cliche is that it goes ridiculously fast. Like, I'm closer to my oldest entering his teenage years and not being as affectionate and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Closer to that than he is to being a baby. So that's a bit scary. That's a measure of like how far it goes. And then we had kids late by my parents' standards, but like quite early by the standards of my friendship groups. And one of Francis's mates has got I think he's 2, a little belter.
Yeah.
He's like waddling around like he's drunk. Like when he's just toddling, he's like, you could just go up to him and just go, biggest smiles ever, fist bump.
Yeah.
Like, you know, say, oh, I missed that.
Uh-huh.
And it's gone. So just like literally, it's really hard because sometimes it really sucks. But every day, try and have at least 5 minutes where you just have some perspective and enjoy it. Go on your phone for some of it. You need to.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those where it's like, social media.
Sedgwick.
Hello?
Oh.
Hello?
Got a call.
Is it a cold call?
I think so.
Kiss my ass.
Oh, see you
Take
later.
that, the robots.
But congratulations again to Kieran.
Congratulations, Kieran.
Congratulations.
The baby era is low-key goated.
Yeah.
It just doesn't always feel it. So, yeah, I echo Sidgwick's sentiment there.
Priest getting an interview backstage. Congratulates Dom on his win, which he was fully expecting. And then R-Truth shows up with another massive wad of cash from their counterfeit T-shirt sales. Priest enjoys this, but he's like, not right now. And he's like, no worries, I'll take care of this later. Ominous.
Why didn't you do it, Truth, before the show began?
Can we talk about the content?
Probably at the T-shirt store, that's why. Getting all the
Why
ones
didn't
that
you
they were coming in.
save for after the show then? Oh, by the way, you know, the merch that I've been selling on camera illegally. Here's your cut from it. Enjoy. We'll just concentrate on the main event. Good luck.
We were just talking
Now, I
about
know
parent-
R-Truth is an idiot,
Yes.
and that's his character, and it creates a lot of different comedic misunderstandings, right? But that is every wrestler does this. Your week is longer than 3 hours. Episodic wrestling TV is fundamentally stupid. Thanks for watching and listening to the podcast.
Yes.
As a parent, you must understand sometimes like your kids don't necessarily understand your priorities and they just want to tell you about this thing they've done or show you this piece of work.
R-Truth's
you've done
older than
right
me.
now. He's their child. R-Truth is their kid.
R-Truth is older than me.
Dad, look at this money I earn. It's selling shirts at school today. The content of the promo, by the way, before the R-Truth bit, another reason why I thought like the insertion of R-Truth was all wrong into this bit of the show. God damn, I love Triple H finding stuff to say. Damian Priest bit in this about basically flipping what, I'll admit, I actually bought into. Drew McIntyre, thanks mate, 2020 was pretty rough. I quite liked you as this affable figure at the top of WWE. And now that he's a heel, Damian Priest's been able to say, you were pretty good when everybody was the lowest there, but now everybody's back to the best. You suck, actually. that was pretty good. I wouldn't have thought of that. And then Drew to sort of fire back later on and be like, no. Like, you just don't get what it is to be a top guy because you're not one yet. I've at least been at the top of the mountain. Like, you'll understand one day what I did back then and why it means something. I thought those were, like, nice character motivations. He's all right at that. He's our old hunter.
It's your favourite thing in the world.
Well, Paul.
Not just that
I love
aspect
it.
of his booking.
Yeah, there's one a week at least. You're like, here it is. There's our Paul.
Bronson Reed warned Jey Uso nothing and no one is going to stand in his way of becoming a champion. He challenged him to a match for next week. And then it was time for Chad Gable versus Ivar. Some more mad Chad Gable spots. First time we've seen him in a match since November, I believe I said, yesterday. Ivar suplexed Gable out of the ring and hit a splash off the apron to take us to a break. And they did that sandwich spot against the
Barricade.
Yeah.
Kicked ass.
Which is awesome. I think that was during the break, but I paid attention because I love that spot with Ivar. We come back from the break, and Gable hits an exploder suplex off the top.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, indeed.
Ivar comes back with a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Gable puts him in an ankle lock, but Ivar rolls over and kicks him off. And it was one of those few times. They used to do that all the time with like the Walls of Jericho or the Kurt Angle's ankle lock. And sometimes you'd be like, "You're really strong. Why are you getting?" I can believe Ivar can kick Chad Gable. Get away from me. Ivar hits a diving leg drop off the middle rope. Goes for a spin kick.
Elvis.
But Gable counters into another ankle lock. Ivar gets the rope break.
Middle rope roll.
Ivar hits a sit-out spinebuster for 2. Goes for the moonsault, but Gable rolls out of the way and hits a bridging German suplex again into a cover for a great near fall. Also, there's another spot. Ivar sets Gable up for a superplex, but Gable slips out and hit a German suplex off the middle rope.
Oh my god.
Gable went for a moonsault, but then Valhalla's there screaming in his face. That distracts him, and annoyingly, Ivar slams Gable, hits a moonsault, and wins.
So, with matches in particular, promos too, but especially with matches, and especially since AEW came along and the bar got raised for all of this, what's really impressed me about wrestling in general and wrestlers is when you think you've got the highlights down ahead of time and then they surprise you with something. I wasn't surprised by anything in this and yet loved it all the same. I got exactly what I would have expected in terms of all the big spots, and yet they were still amazing to watch. I don't know if that's a bit of dark art stuff from Chad Gable, and it's something that for all the things we put Chad Gable over for, maybe it's that like I personally don't give him enough credit for. He's so physically impressive and so good at emoting both the struggle and the confidence that I probably don't put him over enough as a ring general, because he was too busy getting over tag teams or trying to haul over the line whatever terrible idea he was given that week. And for all those years, he was just, in the meantime, building up his ability to structure a match. So maybe it's that, but this was everything I would have expected, almost move for move, from Chad Gable versus Ivar, and yet I loved getting to see it play out anyway. I wouldn't have changed, maybe apart from the Spooky Valhalla, but in terms of the execution of everything and how just what like a wow factor it had, I wouldn't have changed a single thing about this. This was lovely to watch, knowing what I was about to see.
You know how wrestling is sort of always evolving stylistically, and a lot of wrestlers are clearly, well, some wrestlers are clearly like way more influential than their other peers and contemporaries, and their work sort of seeps into what follows and is best remembered and whatever. And I think Shawn Michaels, people forget how great he was, truly, because so much of his stuff, not the best work, influenced the subsequent generations. And I was like, oh, he's the wrong person. He's the wrong person to copy the homework, because he could get away with it. He could only do that so deep into his career because he was kind of corny, old man Shawn, who you'd forgiven and all the rest of it. And he was a bit trite, but he was just Shawn. He just could tug at your heartstrings or whatever. If I could pick one person to not be influential over pro wrestling in 2024, it would be Shawn Michaels. If I could pick one wrestler, right, to be the one that the next generation studies, it would be Chad Gable. Not so much this match, just a general point. This is really fun for what it was, but very compact, lean. He's so good at just getting in there in 10 minutes and doing what other people just so self-consciously try to do in 30. Chad Gable, his approach to the TV match in particular is just so expert, so not like, he's the best wrestler who never gets credit. I know a lot of wrestling fans do, but in terms of your big, his TV matches will never trouble end of year match lists, because that is the preserve of your 30-minute pay-per-view main event or whatever. And it's I just think he toils at a very noble task of doing these really great, lean, exciting, unpretentious TV matches, and I just wish that was the norm. He's so great.
I think we touched on this on another podcast. The Gunther match at WrestleMania, it's increasingly looking like this dream that's disappearing off into the distance.
I disagree after this.
Well, good, and I hope you're right, because I think I would class Chad Gable, to Cedric's point, he's undeniable, but typically when we say that, we mean about becoming like a world champion, and you just don't see it in his future. But on the WrestleMania stage against a Gunther for that belt, that would be the thing that would elevate him from that to the end of the year list, to the end of the all-timer conversations, because of that one. Because it's all the cliches are true, isn't it? That moment will be remembered more. That thing will be etched in a little bit of wrestling history. It's hard to get those, and it does feel like the perfect setting for Gable. He gets his flowers, but to get something to get credit on an entirely different level for what he contributes.
Just to circle back, the reason why I feel weirdly more confident after he's just lost is because of the story they're sort of telling with him, which is massive lads that he goes toe-to-toe with, which he does more than go toe-to-toe. He basically hasn't beat. And barring interference and shenanigans, he'd beat him. And I think it's slowly going to have that upswing on the road to WrestleMania of, right, without Valhalla screaming in my face, I beat Ivar. Without, the likes of Kaiser and Vinci, I could beat Gunther.
They have an opportunity to make a capital M moment with him eliminating Gunther from the Rumble and giving everybody that tell. You're getting it.
Suplex?
Out. But yeah.
Do that German spot that everyone pretends to do, but just does it.
Yeah. They did it once in TNA, and I think it's like AJ Styles hits a guardrail. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yes, oh my God, they actually did it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Again. I've got one now. I can watch the replay.
Right, let's get to this then. It's time for Cody Rhodes and CM Punk face-to-face. Cody Rhodes enters, gets the reaction you'd expect. CM Punk's music hits before Rhodes can say anything. He gets a great reaction as well. They shake hands, dueling chants for both of them. Punk's like, let's just enjoy this moment.
Love that from Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Love that from Punk.
They've both taken very different paths to get here. Still hope they were friends on Sunday morning. I'm not going to do this justice, by the way. I've kind of tried to cover all points, but I would understand if people want to just go and watch the promo and then skip to the bit where I finish this and then the Dadleys give their thoughts on it.
In my, 7 years of podcasting and reviewing WWE TV programs in particular, this is the one thing I would say it's mandatory to watch, because I understand that a lot of our listeners catch up with Raw via us. Watch this. Do yourself the favor.
But just in case you haven't, Cody Rhodes asks Nola and CM Punk, what do you want to talk about?
No, he's trivialized it.
And you said you couldn't do it justice.
So Punk says, I want to talk about your dad. It's Dusty Rhodes, by the way, if you're unaware. Doesn't know if Cody knows this story, but in 2007, Dusty calls Punk on the phone, tells him he sends his youngest son, Cody, to OVW to start his journey as a pro wrestler, and asks Punk to keep an eye on the kid. At the time, he didn't know if he was the guy for the job, but when Dusty asks a favor, you say yes. But he says, it wasn't a hard job. Stayed out of your way. You didn't get into any significant trouble. You didn't fall into the same vices I saw a lot of your friends, or my friends did. I watched you grow from a preliminary wrestler to a main event caliber superstar. May sound condescending coming from Punk, but he's proud of him. And he brings this up, his dad, because on Saturday, he feels like he's breaking a promise. When the bell rings, if they cross paths, he won't.
I'm not going to do it every time, but what a line in a promo exchange full of incredible lines that didn't really feel like lines. That didn't feel like they'd written them down and thought, well, I'm a genius promo, so I'll write that down and love it. It didn't really feel like that. It just was.
Yeah, this could have been. It's WWE, right? It could have all been word for word on a piece of paper somewhere, but it's not just about elevating material, is it? It's about the stars that make it feel completely off the top of the head and what they've been wanting to say for years and years and years.
If they cross paths, he's not going to be looking out for Cody. He's going to be looking for Cody, and he's going to do what he's got to do: win the Rumble, main event WrestleMania. Cody says, "You're not alone in that feeling." I'm also thinking about Dusty. I work with legends: Hayes, Pritchard, Hunter, even Heyman. But when they see me, they can't help but see Dusty. It's a large shadow, but Punk knows well that Cody's done everything in his power since he left to not just be in the shadow, but be the light in the shadow. He will subvert expectations on his own last name and be his own man. And he talks about OVW. Showed up with barely any wrestling experience, no matches under his belt, a nepotism hire, he called himself. And then there's CM Punk, 10 years on the indie scene. Punk treated him like a peer, though. They became friends, which is what makes this bittersweet, because there's no friends in the Rumble. Punk says, what about...
In the match they were promoting. Yeah.
Oh, my God. The fiction is always better than fact, isn't it? You want to live in the fiction of pro wrestling. Like, it's... I know we're constantly interrupting here, but we talked about this a few times. The CM Punk is often the cause of the solution to all of his own problems because he's such a captivating figure, and he was even captivating amidst the controversy that he caused in AEW. But I said it when he came back, you have to acknowledge it, but won't it be great when we're just out there telling stories? And every single time the mention of the Rumble, as opposed to a mention of the other place we used to work.
What do you call it?
Over there.
Yeah.
So much better for it because you were just being asked to buy the fight that they're selling you on Saturday, and they never, because they're both awesome at this, of course, but they never even strayed from it, I would say. Like, everything was rooted towards that, even when the digs that they were aiming at one another were clearly rooted in a number of different elements of their career. Never once strayed from Sunday.
The core purpose of what this was to do,
Yeah, you want to win on Saturday because you want to win a belt.
And Punk says, yeah, but what about Sunday morning, Cody? I can separate business from personal.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
There's one lie in every promo. In answer to Bobby Fischer's question, there is one lie in every promo.
They should have a little Sidgwick up in the corner. Tell me when I'm telling lies. There.
Yeah.
Punk said that Rhodes grew up in and personal to him was
There's been there.
son of one of the greatest. Punk and Cody have traveled very different paths. Punk didn't have a famous dad. He didn't see nepotism. He saw the burden of his last name, how hard it was going to be to get out of the shadow, and congrats. Cody's done it for all the differences, including their clothing right now, suits, and I've just come wearing at the gym. We've got one very similar goal. My dad wasn't famous, says Punk. You started your career standing on third base, but I know that was going to be a burden for you to overcome, and you've done it with flying colours. My dad was just a regular blue-collar guy, an electrician, which is ironic. I'm more of an American dream than you are.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. We're not patting ourselves in the back to say that, well, not quite the words that Cody Rhodes used, but the sentiment Cody Rhodes used was sitting there the whole time as the bedrock of this entire feud, right? That's why it was the dream match. You talked it, I walked it. That's what this was always going to be premised on. I didn't imagine they'd ever come up with a feed line as good as that to actually give Cody the ammo to say it.
Like, it was all quite nice.
Literally next level. Just the levels. The sophistication was unbelievable. They gave CM Punk, and I know we're just crossing streams of recap and analysis. The idea was a trip like Cody Rhodes in his head was there the entire time.
But I'm the good guy, so I'm not going to bring it to the front.
Yeah. All in. I changed it to AEW. Just waiting to say it. And they've found a better way. Just a more justifiable way for Cody Rhodes to say, I walked it, so what are you going to do about that?
Because why would a baby face like Cody Rhodes have to say it?
Rub his face in it, yeah.
That's not very in keeping with who Cody Rhodes is now, but he was kind of given Punk left him no choice.
Yeah.
And I love the thought that goes into the ordering of when they say the things they say here, because it's key to, it's key especially to how Punk closes it, which you'll get to, about there is a very quiet establishing of who's the good guy and who's the bad guy here, but they don't want it to be up front, do they? You know, there's got to be those shades of grey.
So Cody's like, okay, American Dream, here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the what was the Punk's thing?
Data.
No. the
Data.
No, CM Punk's big thing when he cut the promo on the ramp.
Bang, bam.
There we go.
Sorry. It is hard when he clicks fingers. I apologise.
You sat right up there, said a few words, rattled off a formula for a revolution, inspired countless wrestlers to get into.
There's now.
That's the last one I promise.
Imagine that, inspired countless wrestlers to go to ladies now.
And then you left. And when you left, you really left. You didn't pass the torch. You dropped it on the way out. You didn't care who picked it up. But I know who did. I did, says Cody. Everything you spoke about, I literally did. Where you talked, I walked.
Oh my God.
And what's actually ironic, that makes me more CM Punk than you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I kind of... If there was CCTV in my living room, and if there was CCTV in my living room, and it was somehow broadcast to the entire world, I would say all of them would have got the ick at this complete mark doing what I did.
I felt like
I don't know what it looked like. Get a prick.
I felt like I was in like a Family Guy cutaway gag where it's 5 a.m. when I'm watching it in UK time and I have to go to a pub. Oh no, the pub's closed. I have to break into the pub. I have to pour myself a pint, just throw it up in the air. Like you say, it becomes involuntary, and that's the point. That's the feeling. Don't think, just feel when you're watching pro wrestling. This is the good stuff, brother. Like
I'm more American Dream than you. I am more CM Punk than you. I mean, Jesus Christ. These are the sorts of things, right, that you just... That's the line around which you build the promo. Everything gets built to that moment. They've had 3 of those lines, and they're not even in a singles program yet.
I know. Like, a lot of questions yesterday on our Q&A podcast, which you still listen to, about, well, like, what does Cody do if The Rock, if this, if that? People are, and I get it, because I'm panicking too. I would just want Cody Roman for the belt in the main event, but it might not occur. They showed you an option. They showed you an option here that I don't think anybody would be too disappointed about if this was a singles match instead. If, in fact, we were looking at who's going to get the main event, is it going to be Cody and Punk? And it's somehow both of them on night 1. Not bad. Not bad.
So Punk takes his hoodie off. I'm going to go for this then. I'm going to give you the full road to WrestleMania experience. You've been back in the company for 2 years, cover the video game. You're just about to cross the finish line. But
Punk's walked that as well.
Yeah. What's that in the distance? Oh, it's a bigger superstar who hasn't been around in a long time coming to take it all away from you. Clarifies this time he means him.
Dramatic pause, and it's me. Punk's become The Rock. Like, he became Dwayne in the moment, and then you're just like, how the f*** have you done that, pal?
Yeah.
Because just to be able to, like, lean into this panic around it, like, The Rock taking Cody's place, and then Punk reminding, mate, the most, like, biggest crossover star ever isn't even your biggest obstacle. That's standing in front of you right now. And it being Punk in particular, revealing for the first time as he did, that same glint in his eye, the I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money, the darkness that lurks underneath of Punk, knowing that he's now the guy that he once raged against, and the man that he once was is now stood in front of him. Like, stunning long and short-term storytelling and character work for the gap that he left in that one moment. He didn't even, like, I was glad a Rocky chant didn't break out because I could see why that would only contribute to the moment, but I loved it not almost like undermining Punk's point, and it's me. Like, this is, I said it like at another point, Sidge, when you wanted Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson, I wanted Cody and Punk to talk to each other in a ring. I'm on an hour. Like, when the promos and the anticipation often, they're supposed to elevate the match, but often they outstrip the match. I don't know what these two can do together in the ring, but I think I always knew deep down that this could and was as magic as it was going to be. God, I've watched this 3 times already. It's like a great match. I've watched this 3 times already. Yeah. I know I'm going to watch it at my dinner, and I'm going to watch it again when I get home.
I'll finish this up. Cody's like, there you go, looking out for me again. You might be right. Dusty was his best friend. He quoted John Wayne a lot. Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyways. Punk might be right. Cody's got only one direction he can go forward, and that goes through Punk. Cody drops the mic and he goes to leave. Punk pulls him back.
Oh my God.
And they go face to face. They go nose to nose even. And it's just, I mean, it's been, if you haven't seen that image, it's everywhere on social media right now. Yeah. Just jaw-dropping.
This is absolutely incredible. Obviously, we've done a lot of the analysis within the recap. I just thought this was so unbelievably sophisticated. You know what the purpose of this was. You knew that they were going to eventually have crosswords, maybe get physical or on the verge of being physical. They weren't going to say, I respect you. Oh, yeah, you too. Had similar paths. See, at the Rumble, may the best man win. There was obviously going to be some tension. It's the way that they built to that tension. And as I pointed out, even while having these clearly incredible but planted killer lines that people will remember probably forever, right? That's how special and magic this was. Despite those unbelievable lines, kind of like the wordplay in the dueling competition, it was very clearly scripted by themselves or people who could do like an uncanny emulation of their voice. And yet, I can't recall, this is on par. Handful will probably think it was better. This, for me, was on par with the Punk Kingston, where it was like that breakdown, the unbelievable way in which that mood starts to shift, like to an organic degree that is just completely alien to dialogue and professional wrestling normally. Like the tension that existed and always existed, as I said, you can tell that Cody Rhodes is just waiting for a justifiable time to drop that. Well, you did the pipe
team
bomb,
me up
did
for it, you bastards. Yeah.
Just they knew what they were getting themselves into, and the way it all unraveled, the way that mood shifted was just as organic and quotable, and it was just a masterpiece. Just that mood shifting. You never, ever in a million years in this segment, this is the most succinct way I can think of putting it over, right? At no point ever would it have flashed across the mind of anybody in that arena to do what?
No.
What?
Yes.
At no point would anyone have thought to have done that. Total manipulation over the crowd. Like staggeringly sophisticated dialogue and build for a pro wrestling promo. People are like, oh, do they have to do Roman Rock? I was like, well, this is the biggest match you've got. I mean, it probably isn't financially, but in terms of how big it felt, how good it would be.
And then The Rock came out the other week and he name-checked Roman Reigns. And you're like, well, that's the biggest match you've got. And then
they do this, and
then they do this. It's like, that's the biggest match you've got. And there's that lovely, JR would call it the Shark Tank. There's an element of that, isn't there? Because the WrestleMania main event is real. Like, what that represents is real.
And I loved as well how there was these little details that just got the thread, like this needs to come loose and needs to kind of fall apart a little bit. It needs to fray. Not ripping anything up yet, but it needs to fray and they need to do the tension. Just a little line that Punk snuck in, where I was like, it's Rumble, to every man for himself, or whatever he said. I'm going to punch you in the face and throw you over. He didn't just say, I'm going to throw you over. It's like, I'm going to punch you in the face and do it.
Yeah.
It's like just those little moments and then the little sarcastic bits of body language all added up to it just frittering away this sort of like the resolve to be nice to one another. It's just unbelievable.
The hair ruffling of the 2K cover. You pointed out Punk had done that first. The Rumble. I've been in more than you.
Yeah.
Like
the tiny little moments.
Microaggressions. Like, couched as respect, I was reminded, like, this is, I don't know if this is, like, not the done thing when we're just celebrating how great this was, is to just acknowledge the haters for a second. But there's loads of praise, and I'm with Sidgwick. The praise should be, like, even more effusive than it is. But there is also I've seen a bit of negativity online towards this promo. Some of it based on what they did mention, some of it based on what they didn't. The use of Dusty Rhodes, because I guess for a while it was becoming a bit of a cliche. Cody Rhodes fallback bit of material.
I've never had a problem with it once.
For the not mentioning of AEW by name, which, not by name, but you know what I mean? Like referencing directly. And I think we pointed this out.
This is better than Edgy, so...
Yeah, we pointed this out in the preview that like that was the one thing that got Punk crickets. Like if you're going to do it the way they did it here, which is reference enough of the reality without needing to go into the finer point, because the big thing right now, wrestling's always about tomorrow rather than yesterday, and it's about it's promotion. The Rumble is on Saturday. And I was reminded of in 2019 when I just didn't feel what everybody in the building felt for babyface Cody Rhodes, and I would come on this podcast every week and look, I was man enough to say the buildings are going nuts for him. Like, I'm this outlier. I don't get it. And I remember one of the lines, and I think he only said it once, and I was like on a high horse about it. And I was an asshole about it. Like, he called himself the grandson of a plumber. And I love, that's like quite appropriate to Punk saying, yeah, your dad, the grandson of a plumber, your dad was the star. My dad was an electrician, right? And that bothered me that like Cody Rhodes was being presented as this everyman. He was in the context of AEW, but it stuck with me that like, no, he's not, Nepo baby. I'm angry, right? And Sidge ethered me. And I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Slack, just to pop the boys, or both. But it was so good. It stuck me to this goddamn day, you piece of shit. No, it was so great. It was so great. And I felt it today. It was a gif of like an old fella watching the telly while like this insane fireworks display is happening by the window.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you're like,
In the Dynamite colours.
And it was like Hamflet watching NXT, like saying Cody Rhodes is rubbish. Or something. It was something like to do with that because it would have been like Cody, Jericho, probably, whatever it was. I'm just not buying into it.
It was Twitter.
And I was just like, I saw the negativity, and my feeling was, I come outside and watch the fireworks. Like, this is the fireworks.
Yeah.
What Punk and Cody is the thing you need to be watching, because it won't be this way forever. These moments don't come around very now and then, and you have a choice to make in this moment of witnessing a bit of wrestling history and just putting it. And I get, right, that a lot of people don't like WWE's presentation, or don't like CM Punk, or don't like the fact that Cody Rhodes left AEW for WWE, or whatever the reasons are, or earnestly, if you just watch this and didn't feel what we are clearly all feeling today and what a bunch of the people are, I'm not telling anybody that they've got the wrong opinion, but I would say that what we were watching is something that will stand up, and it's worth seeing that maybe, and seeing when something really is, like, for the want of a better phrase, elite tier pro wrestling when it's happening in front of you, because we all collectively as a fan base watch plenty of it that just isn't. This is what you tune in for. This is absolutely why, dating back, I used a comparison on X of those great rumbles where there's two guys at the top of the card, like Hogan Warrior, Lex Brett, Cena Batista, Punk, Rhodes. Like, it's nice and neat that I was able to make the comparison about Royal Rumbles, but the reality of that is that, oh my God, there's these two megastars at the same time, and you just can't call it. It could go either way. It's as real as the fake sport gets. It's perfection in terms of pro wrestling.
Two more things, because we've spent a lot on this. One, just acknowledge the haters once. I hate doing it. Like, I hate deeply this. Oh, well, you were saying that then, and now you're saying it now. The idea that there's like a hive mind, I hate it. I abhor it. However, if the way to construct that take is ever been more apt, it's today. Of the, if WWE did it, or if AEW did it, I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Right. If this promo exchange happened in AEW on Dynamite with the I'm more CM Punk than you, I'm more of an American Dream than you, and they were talking instead about going for a title and not winning the Rumble, like, people would love it. People would be so effusive in their praise and not like, well, good job for them.
They'd be
Good
chasing
job for Raw.
biggest pay-per-view buy rate in the company's history sort of stuff, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Oh, the reception to it would just...
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that, because you're allowed to like it if it's good sometimes. That's me saying it. To something about Cody just being ready with that line, which is something quite specific to friendship in general, and it's why it just was so believable as a promo exchange, because there was something kind of winds you up about, like, your mates or whatever, and that was his version of that. I just felt so lived in and real. I can't get over how great this was.
The piloting of it.
Watch it if you haven't.
The piloting of it in that Mingen, well, Cody's saying everything. Like, that was his desperation, wasn't it? To get something out there, because as we now know, he was on the verge of leaving. It's like, what if I never get another chance? Oh, well, let's toss this one away.
Yeah.
Hip toss class, was it? About the O'Reilly and Fish? Like,
something like
that. There's well, I've always wanted to say this. I've always wanted to say this. Like, in the context of that versus what we got here, and the way to actually use that and weaponize it, night and day.
And then just in the moment when you think, well, it's, thanks for coming, Gunther and Drew and Brock, it's down to these two in the Rumble. Hulk Hogan chucks his name in there.
God damn it.
Where?
He couldn't walk in the ring. He could not walk into the ring.
Yeah, like, for Schadenfreude's sake, I kind of hope he enters now, because, like, Gunther nailing a chop, or Brock F5 in him and seeing if he turns to dust like a vampire in Buffy. Like, why not? Let's have a look at that.
He literally cannot get in there.
Imagine Hogan taking a go to sleep.
What if they had, the ones where they had the big lads had the big trolleys to take them to the
2017.
He's got that bunch for an all entrance way.
Just for going doing the big shop.
Stand stair lift to the ring. Stu, wait, and I get in there.
He's still at the top of the ramp, just taking ages.
I tell you what he needs. He needs Lexus King's chair to the ring.
Just imagine him doing the Lexus King.
To tip him into it underneath the bottom row.
The Hulkster on NXT would be funny.
Didn't deserve it.
No.
Right, let's move on. because that was followed by Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell versus Shayna
Skip.
Baszler and Zoe Stark.
Jesus Christ.
I know skip means skip, but you wanted to say something about this.
I just think there's not enough being said. This is the second time in recent memory, and probably it's happened a lot more. It was like the women's tag after the Rock and Jinder segment. They are putting these things, and we used to dig AEW out for this on the pay-per-views.
It was always the elite.
Always the elite.
Yeah.
And it was like, right, the crowd are knackered, send the women out there. It's happening again. Like, Triple H is not doing a bad job of his top-line women's programs, but at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if the only 2 women's matches across both nights of WrestleMania are for the titles. That's not on. You've got a roster. You've got enough of a roster to do a 30-woman Royal Rumble, the Money in the Bank, the Elimination Chamber, all those sorts of things. Evolution to present parity, and week after week after week after week, you're showing that you either can't do it or can't be asked to do it. It's lousy on these, like, 4, 6, 8 women that go out there to silence and indifference because you're instructing your audience they can. This is the toilet break. This is the popcorn break, whatever. It's not on.
Stark hit LeRae with a Z360 for the win. But enough all this. It's now time for this.
It's short, it's crap, it's wrestling related. The 5-star review.
Nailed it.
Nah.
This week's 5-star review is brought to you by James Allen. If you want to suggest something short, crap, and wrestling related, you can do so either by leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts or leaving a 5-star rating on Spotify and screenshotting it and emailing it to me.
We need the proof.
Adam.Wilborn at whatculture.com, as James has done here, with also an excellent title to his email. Doesn't just say 5-star review, Sidge. It says, urgent appointment needed for Dr. Fed.
My surgery's open any time. You like this one, Sidge? You know this.
James writes, hi Adam, love the pod. You boys crack me up every week to the point where my newly married wife frequently asks me why I'm laughing, only for me to point at my ear and go, "You bloody wrestling lads." As someone that's already submitted a 5-star review on Apple, I'm aware that you
Need the proof.
so I've done an extra Spotify one, and he attaches it to the email. But today I write in concern for my health. My symptoms are...
Dr. Fed. Yeah.
It's great when you're Dr. Fed, you know, because you don't get a PhD, you get a PhE. The E is for entertainment. Sidge?
My symptoms are an unusual case of fantasy booking the Fed from now until Mania, an unhealthy need to finish stories in my life, and everywhere I look, I'm seeing numbers from 1 to 30. I'll wait for Dr. Fed's official diagnosis, but I'm afraid I might have a case of rumble fever.
There's a lot of that. I'm getting a lot of that from patients at the moment. But I'm just advising them to just sleep on it, just enjoy it, just live with it.
What would you advise them to do for this weekend if they were going to...
Well, I would advise them to take 2 of these and calls in the morning, because we'll be live on YouTube on Saturday night, suffering from these same symptoms.
Yeah.
Across 4 fantastic Bayley hours. 4 hours, 4 matches. And I don't know, maybe that Arsenal Hardy from last year's show doing a musical interlude.
God, please no.
There's going to be something.
For
A Bobby Lashley advert that's 2 years old.
for the actual, Bobby Lashley's a babyface again. What's going on? For the actual review, I'm sure Wilborn can find something about a female wrestler or diva that will fit the need linked to Rumble season. Jokes aside, you're all legends. It was a pleasure to meet Sidge and Hamlet at the Cardiff event. Regards, James Allen.
It was a pleasure to meet you too, James, because myself and Sidge have been very fortunate that everybody we've met has been super nice to us, and not like some of the people in the comment sections. They never show up at the real life events. So
I need these real life events when I see the state of Twitter. Or else Twitter, it's like the comment sections. I'm all dicks. Apart from the people I need.
And if you want to meet with us again, live show in Philadelphia, whatculture.com/tickets. So I searched a Divas Battle Royal here, similar rules to a Rumble. From September of 2010, it was a #1 contenders match. Lay Cool were champions. Remember that vividly? Well,
Like Lay Cool.
He's a big Lay Cool
Yeah,
guy.
I like Lay Cool. I was into it. Pulled the belt in half.
yeah, that they did. The #1 contenders match featured Alicia Fox, Tamina, Natalia, Maurice, who was on Ted DiBiase's arm, and on this
Did
show.
Noam Dar and Alicia Fox make it and get married?
No! NXT preview coming later. Maurice is on Ted DiBiase's arm around this time, by the way, because also on this show, I was just reading the Raw notes. It was when someone slipped a note under the door that said, "I need you" or "I want you" or something. I And I said to Hamlet, do you remember this? What was going on here then? He couldn't remember it.
Oh.
It wasn't someone lusting after Maurice. It was Goldust going after the $1 million title.
Christ.
Plot twist.
He was like a coach on NXT around this time as well, Goldust, wasn't he? Getting like wacky subplot wedded angles.
Dr. Fed, if the viewers experienced whiplash during that plot twist, what would you prescribe?
Well, that was likely taking place on Monday Night Raw, so I would suggest that with that whiplash night, they just check out SmackDown, the wrestling heavy brand.
Maurice, Bella Twins.
Remember that? Remember SmackDown was a recap show, but because Paul Heyman booked it for 6 months, they were like, it's kind of get the proper stuff on SmackDown, guys.
It's Fist of Jason's critique.
It's just like, no. Like, name one thing that happened on SmackDown other than the Shield's first pinfall loss over like a 6-year period. Like, it was a Raw recap.
Yeah.
Should I bring back the SmackDown Fist? Does it book the show? It's my most hated thing in the world.
Maurice, Bella Twins, Eve Torres, Gail Kim, Jillian Hall, and Melina. Jillian Hall's last match. I've heard this for the time being. She obviously came back for the Rumble. Melina's also in there, and it's a Diva Battle Royal. So you don't have to go over the top rope with both feet hitting the floor. You just have to go through the ropes or under them in some cases. Jesus. And Jerry the King Lawler.
2015 when Stephanie invented women's wrestling, in 2018 when they invented feminism. Just the sheer guts on them to go out and say, like, look, we're sick of everybody being nasty to the women. We're going to fix it. You started it, lads. Like the abysmal form.
Shame on you.
And Jerry the King Lawler says, I hope they hit the floor right in front
Give
of us.
Divas a chance. Yeah, you should. You should. It's good that you finally accept that.
Vince, we're listening. We're decent about it then.
So,
it's been 30 years.
all the women are in the ring, but Lay Cool come out, and Jerry Lawler's like, oh, they're going to be in the Battle Royal. It's literally determined who's going to be fighting for their title. I don't think so, Jerry. And Cole says, Lay Cool's here, action's underway. Michelle McCool, first thing she says, well, not great action though, is it? Just slags off everyone in the ring. And they barely call any of the action. And I'm not just talking about Lay Cool here. Although they do say, oh, I guess Maurice didn't get the memo. In America, we grow our hair on our head, not our back.
Right.
Did she have one on?
No.
Melina gets eliminated whilst they're pretending to be bored to sleep by Eve Torres. They ask if Tamina is dressed for Halloween because they've seen her face. No one talks about the wrestling for a good 30 seconds.
Don't deliver it like that.
No one talks
You know what
about
you're doing.
Wrestling. No one talks about the wrestling for about 30 seconds because Lay Cool are busy singing "You Can't Touch Us." Stop. Lay Cool time.
Brutal.
You sent out there.
Brutal.
Sent out there with either.
That's what that is.
Aye, gags you've either come up with or gags you've been given to say to just bury the entire division that are fighting to fight for your title. It's on its ass, man. Like as bad as the WrestleMania Battle Royal, which Santino won, where like eliminations are happening that they just miss, and it's not like one of them. Oh, I think it was. We need to put it on the second screen. No, like they're just out. Like,
They don't even realise after. They're like, oh, bloody hell.
yeah.
Stacey Keebler's here or whatever.
They give people the wrong names. It's just like Jerry Lawler famously never did prep for Raw around this time, if ever. But Jim Ross was carrying him for years, and Michael Cole just wasn't anywhere near as good at the job, so it became obvious.
I feel like I say this every time we talk about these sorts of things. Gail Kim takes an insane bump, but no one pays any attention. Tamina basically throws her over her head. Gail Kim lands stomach first on the top rope and balances on it like it's just stuck there. And then Tamina just pushes her out. No one says anything. They're just like, oh, there goes Gail Kim.
See you later, guys.
I hope she got awesome money in that run. She left TNA, went back to it. I hope she got like good money for it because there was no other reason to take that job.
I was really excited for that one as well.
Even Jerry the King Lawler at one point says, girls, you want to call the action for a bit? Because they're just going, oh, look, can you see? She's ugly or whatever.
That's Rich, you stinking old creep.
I know.
Tamina, I think Tamina's meant to do a
move.
Yeah.
Condescending.
She's meant to do like an escape, but both of her feet just hit the floor. There you go. Yeah, she's out. They're talking about dating Ted DiBiase anyway whilst all this is happening. The Bellas hit double trouble by wiggling their asses in Jillian's face. And then they get eliminated by missing a double baseball slide. Do you know you have to go through the ropes? You can just go under them.
in hell. Like
There might have been a touch of the Malenkos there of like forgetting the rules because they're so patronising.
imagine the agent delivering that, come up with a great elimination spot.
You look like a complete joy.
Miss moves at the same time. Stereo losers.
And the Lay Cool says that reminds us when Nikki and Brie were born for some reason on commentary. Maurice gets eliminated.
Slid out of that.
And they say, bye, Frenchie. Eve's meant to get kicked through the ropes, but she sort of just lands in the ropes and then just goes. Throws herself out, basically. Natty gets double teamed by Alicia and Jillian. They're the final three, by the way. Alicia Hooks, Jillian, Natalia.
Just mercifully, it's over soon.
Alicia reverses an Irish whip from Jillian to eliminate her. Lay Cool say they like Jillian singing more than King's commentary, and he fires back by saying maybe you need the air in your head changed. Whilst all this is going on, Natalia eliminates Alicia. Natalia wins.
Jerry Lawler did so well with a 1940s joke book and a great working punch. That used to be longevity in wrestling.
Aye. When Bob Monkhouse had his joke books nicked and you heard the story before you actually saw what he was talking about, and you're like, what, like 1001 funny poo jokes?
Yeah.
And then you saw it and it was just like these like massive catalogues of things you would think about, then write down like thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. Like Lola just had that original 1001 poo jokes that somebody else had like wrote years ago.
It's shameless, man.
Aye.
Let's see what the comments have got to say about all this. Once again, these don't reflect the views myself, Hamlet, Cedric,
My
Nicholas,
last man.
What a Culture, or James Allen. Thank you for your review, James.
What am I in for here? It's popping already, Jesus Christ.
Nico.
I assume it's really sophisticated jokes, Will one.
Nico says, I miss the old times. It shows that all superstars and divas are equally skilled. Now there are tons of weak links. Like Bayley.
Bailey rules?
Bailey's awesome. I miss the old days. This is it, yeah. Take me back.
What?
Idiot.
Ariana's a bit confused by a battle royal as well, and I suppose we should do this clarification ahead of the Rumble. What if there were two divas left in the ring, and they both got eliminated at the same time? Who would win? The Air? Looks like the Air's going to WrestleMania.
Like you can't see anything, but I think the air's pointing to the sign. So
That's what should have happened in 2005. Well, so Triple H facing the Air.
Triple H would have loved that. Like, I don't have to fight anyone. Just go out there and pose with the belt for 10 minutes.
You got to fight the Air. It should be.
Well, it's Triple H, 30
I was
minutes.
going to say, you got to fight the Air. It's going to be relatively straightforward. It's Air. Cool. 25 minutes it is. Then it takes a turn, the comments. Sidge. Armadillo writes, rocking a semi-chub after that.
Semi-chub.
I couldn't believe the next comment when I found it, especially considering
Rocking it. Rocking that gag.
Probably wondering where this came from. Well, let me tell you. So after what James left in his suggestion, I could not believe when I read Jimmy's comment that said, them boobs are what the doctor ordered. Is it Dr. Fed?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The doctor.
Sat at home or sick from work. Don't know when I'm going to recover from this. 2010 Divas Battle Royal. It's going to taste great.
Doctors know.
Boobs.
Just a line.
Right, final few comments.
I'm not feeling very well. I'm really.
Well, strap in.
I'm not feeling very well.
Josh.
Tits. Great. I feel much better. Thanks.
I've been quite nervous lately. I've got a lot of anxiety around these copies of Playboy. It ain't paranoia, it's the boobs.
Look at them.
Josh, big fan of Melina.
Is this the last one? Or?
Oh, 3 to go. Josh says, Melina, just in case she's checking the comments, you know. Pick any country or island and single-handedly I will make it yours.
What?
I don't know.
Left by Richard Branson.
You're going to stage a
Let me
coup.
lift you.
Penultimate comment.
I need your help with this one, actually, Sige. I'm a bit confused. It's got Clayton Chapman writes, beautiful, sexy, and so very yummy. Remember, TGIF. What's TGIF mean?
Thank God it's Friday.
That's what I thought, but Clayton's clarified. Tongue goes in first.
How many times has he done that?
Is that what TGI Friday stands for?
It's kind of my catchphrase, TGI. So you didn't invent that. Somebody said that. No, it's not what you think. The reveal. Like, when has he ever said that in real life and it's gone well? TGIF, am I right? Oh, it's Wednesday.
Bob gives our final comment. He loves Maurice.
So do you.
Yeah. Not as much as Bob. Love Maurice. Bob writes. Thanks once again to James. Bob writes. Love Maurice. Just sucks we'll never get to see her arsehole. I've never popped this much ever.
All of these comments feel like they're being left with a sort of a, all right, guys, who's with me? Like, waiting for the replies to agree.
Finally, someone said it. Back to Monday Night Raw.
Oh.
Never ever seen you pop as much as that.
Just sucks.
It's a shame.
Yeah, that's it. It's just not on, is it?
It's a tragedy. Total tragedy.
So yeah, Shayna Zoe beating Candice and Indy. They faced off. The champs were there, by the way. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance had stopped partying for 2 minutes to hang around on Raw. Bloody love to have fun, these two. Oh god. Kairi Sane, Asuka, and Dakota Kai attack them from behind because they've got the title match on Friday, of course. Yep. Sort of speed running this, aren't they?
Sure are, like. Doesn't make any better, but yeah. They've had this title run. They're such fighting champions. They've defended the belts. It doesn't make them fighting champions.
No.
Have they defended the belts before? Yeah, they definitely have. Got it written down here somewhere. McIntyre gets interviewed now. Asked about Punk and Cody. Doesn't care what they had to say. But he focuses on Priest. He says that I beat Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles when I was champion. I'm the most proud I was ever in my career.
Main event time?
I was the one constant in people's lives. I'm tired of everyone saying they got destiny or a story. Everyone's saying the same thing, but there can only be one chosen one.
Yeah, not his strongest of recent times, but perfectly fine within the context of what we've seen in the Rumble.
Natalya and Tegan Nox row with Bayley and Damage Control and all that lot. And Adam Pearce, as you alluded to earlier, is like, bloody hell. Quiet, everyone. Save it for the Rumble. And they get into it, and he sort of slags off Nick Aldis. And they say, we're going to win the tag titles, so you'll be seeing more of us soon. And then Pearce gets approached by Jinder Mahal and Indus Sher, and he says, let's go and have a chat, I need a drink, basically.
He's honestly sort of like, bloody women. It's all the time with this Postman Pearce character. Like, his day is fine, but it used to be the interruption of Chelsea Green. Now it's like this tag division. It is. He's bloody women, the character.
Bloody women.
Main event time. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest.
Starving.
Like
a bloody pro wrestler, mate.
That's it, yeah.
I'm hungry.
You are eating. No, you're not. You're watching wrestling, talking weird.
There's 2 on Collision. Look forward to that when you catch up with it.
Copeland said a line and then immediately said, I don't know why I just said that.
He thinks he's young people.
Priest tried jumping off the steel steps early on. McIntyre caught him with a suplex. Tried another one outside the ring as well. But Priest shoved him into a ring post and hitting a Falcon Arrow onto the announce desk and takes to a break. McIntyre makes a comeback, clotheslines, overhead suplex, and a neck breaker, but Priest avoids a Claymore. But McIntyre still manages to hit him with a spine buster for a 2 count. Priest comes back, flatliner, 2 count. They trade counters. Priest hit a Falcon Arrow for a 2. McIntyre went outside selling his ribs, and Priest hit him with a big flip dive. Truth shows up. He wants to give Priest his cut of the money. Not now. And that allows McIntyre to hit the Future Shock DDT. Truth's like outside with the Money in the Bank briefcase, yelling about what the password is. McIntyre sets up for the Claymore. Truth sticks his head in the ring. Sorry, what's the password? Hits him. So Truth's spilling out of the ring. The referee's checking on that. In amongst all this, Priest has hit McIntyre with the South of Heaven chokeslam, gets him covered. Obviously, the referee's busy with Truth. So he's like, bloody hell, Truth, get out of the ring. Chucks him out. And then, obviously, McIntyre's recovered. Claymore kick, 1, 2, 3.
That's a good L.
This is pathetic.
And like a reverse of the typical Raw formula where they sort of actively encourage you sometimes.
So interesting.
Actively encourage you to just like settle in. Like a lot of these Raw main events, they just like let you settle in. Some good bits, get the advert, then it's like hot at the end. I quite like the start of this. I thought they had good physical chemistry. Like Damian Priest can do his aerial big man stuff on a guy that's as big as him, if not a little bit bigger, and it just looks like meat match adjacent, which is like a popular genre at the moment. And then about the halfway point, it went a bit quiet. It never picked up. The finish was, as I've already said, the wrong use of R-Truth on this show. And the wrong, like, I'm not advocating for bringing back there. Everybody down at the ring, what's going to happen this Saturday? Because this is what it looks like. But what a damp squib of an ending to what's been consistently the best WWE show leading into this very, very hot PLE. Which is like, Drew stood in the ring, see you Saturday. Like, the whole thing was really underwhelming and not like a great night for the Damian Priest as your next top guy. This is a story that you're trying to tell.
It's a terrifying night if you're him.
Yeah.
This is that's crap. Really crap. Like, pretty clunky main event if you get away from, like, the weird melodramatic leanings of the terrible comedy with R-Truth that belongs nowhere near the main event, nor in a sort of... You pointed it out correctly. They're probably trying to do the Sami Zayn stuff with R-Truth and seeing if that kind of takes. And my God, it has not taken at all. Like, these fans kind of in unison collectively agreed nowhere near the main
Just
event.
lower the stakes.
Lower
like,
the
Tom and Nick
stakes.
has gotten over a little bit. There's nothing wrong in like a tag feud if like Finn and Damian are divided, but lower the stakes.
Just like it was one of those as well. Like the reason why Sami Zayn worked, it wasn't merely in an exercise in contrast where he was a bit light and Roman was serious, and then you thought, is he chipping away at his resolve, or is it just going to end in a really cruel way? But the idea is that you can actually like Sami Zayn. He's a performer with some depth and a character with some depth, particularly what had happened with him and Kevin Owens. And then they brought that into the mix. It was just a really great chapter in the overrated Bloodline saga.
Disagree.
R-Truth, there's no emotional weight to anything he's ever done. So if you kind of dare put him in that main event context, it's not great. The match itself was clunky and not good. If I'm Damian Priest, I'm a little bit worried about where I'm going.
I just think it's like nobody, and I include people within WWE, quite know exactly what they've got with Damian Priest. He does seem to divide the audience in the same way. Some people just look at him and think, you ain't it. I lean positive towards Damian Priest, but there are nights like this where it does make me question, like, if
I
it's...
had a real worry that R-Truth's going to cost him his cash in off the back of this.
And it would only look bad on Priest. He'd look a clown.
Yeah. I did enjoy one thing about this main event, and it's on a Schadenfreude basis.
What?
Are you kidding?
Well, like the idea of if this gets a little bit worse, I don't really wish any specific harm to any character or performer in WWE. Well, I can think of one who's doing dark matches on SmackDown. But the idea of this goes further awry and just it becomes like, just get rid of this R-Truth Judgment Day. Like, the charm is fading fast. The idea that someone could do like a mock-up of a leave the memories alone and do a highlight of it just playing out to silence. And then, like, just cut to Michael Hamflett going, I won't leave the memories alone. I booked this for WrestleMania. What were you thinking?
Well, let us know your thoughts on Monday Night Raw, either in the comments or on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. You can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. And follow us all, as I said, at What Culture WWE. WhatCulture.com/tickets for our live show in Philadelphia. And make sure you subscribe
More
to...
banter like this.
Subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts.
No banter in the past, but there's definitely banter in the future.
Oh, yeah.
At our live show.
And banner coming later on today when we preview NXT. But for now, it's been the Raw review. My thanks to Hamlet, to Sujic. Thanks you, James, for our 5-star review. Thank you for joining us. And we will see you soon.